Time for another round of overrated or underrated. I'm going to read out a list of things, and Perry's going to tell me if he thinks they're overrated or underrated.
Okay.
These were suggestions by Greg, who said, I'm a distance runner and motorcyclist who realised I'm missing the obvious best of both worlds. Your content convinced me to take up cycling, and I'm loving it. Like McDonald's, it seems. And I have some beginner cyclist overrated, underrateds for you. Carbon forks on entry-level aluminium bikes.
Underrated. I think that means it's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
It's so much nicer, the ride with carbon forks.
Yeah. I actually really like this because that's the kind of thing that bike nerds like us will go, well, yeah, obviously it's better.
Yeah.
But actually, it is a really good beginner question because you probably go, well, I don't know, do I need a carbon fork?
Yeah.
If you can have one, the answer is yes. It will nearly always be more comfortable.
Yeah, because you know what? Every time I've ridden a cheaper bike that has got an alloy set of forks, it's like, oh my God, this is so horrible. It's such a harsh ride. Mm-hmm. You'd think it wouldn't make that much difference, but it actually does.
It's also, weight isn't everything, but it's also a very easy place to save a bit of weight on a bike.
I mean, the bike I'm riding at the minute is an alloy one. I've got a Canyon that I'm using, and I just love it. Yeah.
Underrated, agreed.
Yep.
Upgrading to a dedicated bike computer instead of a watch.
Yes, underrated. Yeah, I mean, if you, I had the Garmin Forerunner.
Yeah, I have one.
I had a very, very, very early one, and yeah. I had it on my wrist for a bit, and it's just like, this is really dangerous. How fast am I going? Who cares? But it's like, hey, it's, always dedicated. You got bigger screen, does more stuff. It's in color. It's pretty pictures. Yeah. Even the cheaper ones are great now. I'm
going to disagree on this one.
Why?
So the modern watches do as much, potentially even more than, well, no, at least as much as a bike computer. And this is the triathlete in me coming out.
Running and swimming. What do you want to do?
Because it's a watch, it doesn't mean it has to be on your wrist.
Well, yeah, you can have those thingies that...
Exactly. So you could just attach it to your bike. Yes, it will be a small screen.
That's what I did with my Forerunner. I got the attachment that goes on the handlebar, but it's still just tiny.
Or you can be a sniper and turn your watch around so it's actually on the inside of your wrist.
Or if you're on the hoods, or if you're on the tops like that.
Well, well, if you're on the tops, you're not caring about anything then, are you? You're not thinking, oh, how fast am I going?
If you're going uphill, you are.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I'm doing 25 kilometers an hour up Alpe d'Huez. I've never done that, but in my dreams. But yeah, anything. If you can see the screen, you're definitely on the handlebars rather than, I mean, yeah, now those watches do everything, but the big screen though is one hell.
I think then that comes down to how much riding you're doing. If you ride loads or your intention is to do, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, then it's probably the point where you might be thinking a dedicated computer is a better option.
For me, it's always been handy because when I go on tour on a tour bus, I take my bike with me, and if it's brilliant. So, and if there's a distance,
you married your worlds together so well.
So there's a distance between two gigs, I will ride it.
Yeah.
So the first time I did it was probably 2010. I bought one of those Paradise bags, the canvas bags.
Yeah.
Like a saddle bag thing. And I went we had a gig festival in Zurich, and the next festival was a week later in Saint Nazaire on the west coast of France. So the guys went back to the UK. I just cycled across France.
I love that.
Into a headwind for 6 days solid, but I still got there before the tour bus did. And that's what I do. So, and for me, a computer is very, very handy. You have to have one, really. I know I was going in a straight line, but still, the route, a big route on the handlebars in front of me.
Next time an opportunity like that comes around, I'm coming with you.
Okay.
Because, that's where That's where best friends really become best friends.
Yeah. We could do a film about it.
Should do it on a tandem.
No, that's a bit too much.
No, but and the last time I did it was when I was on tour with Faithless, and so obviously just before COVID, and I started from Zurich again and went to Ghent. So over 4 days. Day 1 was over the Black Forest. Day 2 was over the Vosges Mountains. Day 3 was over the Ardennes, and day 4 was over Flanders. But I missed out all the cobbles.
Nice.
Yeah, so I just love doing that type of stuff. But my Garmin, the Edge is like I've got a brand new one now, which is mint. And I've done hundreds of thousands of kilometers in it. So
Washing your bike after every ride.
I don't like riding in the wet. There's a reason I don't like riding in the wet, because this thing here,
Collarbone.
that is very, very important for my job. So any type of risk that's involved with cycling, it's a risky sport anyway, isn't it? You're on 2 wheels, 2 skinny wheels, going really, really fast. Not really, but for me, the risk is too much. I've stacked my bike a few times and I've come off quite a few times, and luckily I haven't broken anything. But
Gets into your head, stuff like
if
that.
If that breaks, it's a week before a tour's over,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't do that. So I only kind of ride when the weather's nice or dry.
Yeah.
So my bike doesn't really get that muddy. So I don't do it. If I was riding in the mud, then yeah, definitely, because it would destroy my components. But the way that I ride, no.
So you're saying
Overrated. Overrated, yeah.
I'm going to agree.
Yeah.
Because, I do believe you should clean your bike regularly, but that doesn't mean you need to clean it every single time.
Yeah, I agree.
Joining group rides.
I do most of my riding on my own, so overrated. I live in South London now, but we moved 5 years ago. But there was a great group of people that I rode with in North London. There's a bike shop in Hackney called Pretorius, Pretorius Bikes, and I used to ride out with them every Saturday and Sunday, and that was amazing. Really lovely, lovely bunch of people, and it's a solid group of cyclists as well. Teo Gegenhardt used to come and ride with us. Dan Craven used to ride with us as well. So we had some really, really good riders coming out with us, and some of the, some very, very talented riders. But it was so much fun, and if you can get in with a really good bunch of mates, then it's brilliant.
That's the point I was going to make.
Yeah,
it's underrated, subject to the people you're riding with.
Yes, you wouldn't go out to the pub with people that you hate, right? Imagine you going out to the pub and a couple of people and you just don't like them.
Yeah.
That would be miserable. It's the same thing with riding your bike, really.
That's what happens when I go to the pub with Francis. I just have to put up with him for a bit.
He's going to see this,
Right, one last one.
Yeah.
Being a rock star, overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Is it?
Yeah.
It will always be the pinnacle pedestal job career thing for me.
I am very, very lucky that I get to do what I do. Incredibly lucky, and I do pinch myself actually when you're on stage going, but it is. You just call it a job. It is a job, and you kind of get used to it. But I do step back and I go, not everybody gets to do this.
What's the biggest crowd you've performed in front of?
150,000.
Oh, that is absolutely wild.
Yeah, those Hyde Park with Natalie Imbruglia. Funny enough. Yes, I played with Natalie Imbruglia for 9 years. So, yeah, we did the. It was there's a Princess Trust gig, and we're about to go on stage, and you go on. He did that gig. Everybody did like 4 songs. Take that, we're doing it. It's a very pop thing.
Yeah,
and it was, you'd get introduced, and there was this guy waiting to introduce us, and we were stood at the side of the stage, and so was he, and I was looking at him, I know him from somewhere. I'm like, is that the singer from Delamitri? He turned around at me and he winked at me and said, right. And he walked on stage first, obviously, and then everybody, main presenter went, ladies and gentlemen, David Duchovny is bloody Fox Mulder. It's like, oh my God, it's Fox Mulder off the X-Files. He just winked at me. So yeah, that was, funny little moments like that makes it, yeah.
I think when I occasionally meet people that are at the absolute top end of whatever they're doing, I always find it really surprising to learn that a lot of people in that place are just kind of like normal people. And are actually also kind of like, oh, it's mad that I do this.
Yeah.
I think there's actually very few people that get to that level and actually just like, yeah, this is me.
Yeah.
This has always been me. It's actually kind of like, wow, this is huge.
Yeah. Am I any different to anybody else you've ever met?
Yeah, you're a rock star.
No, but if you didn't know what my job was,
you had champagne with breakfast. You bought your own caviar.
Apart from the champagne and the caviar, I think I'm just a normal bloke.
No, you are.
I'm a bit gobby, but I'm just.
You're very grounded. You're a very normal person,
and that's what
that just gets to do really cool stuff.
And most people in the music industry are like that.
I think there's a lot of celebrities who are not grounded though as well.
I have met a couple.
There's some weirdos.
Yeah,
oh, go on,
but then again, in real life, in normal life, there are those people as well.
True, very true.
It's just like there are some people that go, and sometimes those weirdos get to be famous. It's not being weird. That's not a trait to be a celebrity. Being a weirdo. Yeah, it's like in all walks of life, you get odd people. So
enters Francis Cade and Jimmy Nichols. Keep sending in your overrated, underrated suggestions to wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk, and we might read yours out in the next show.